صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانهر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. سورة الفاتحة.
برآل نبی اولاد علی باواز بلند صلوات. ہائے ہائے شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان، ہائے تقی ہائے 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 امام زمان، ہائے امام زمان، ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے. شور مدینے میں روتے ہیں سب چھوٹے بڑے، شور مدینے میں ہے روتے ہیں سب چھوٹے بڑے، ہائے شہ انس و جان، ہائے شہ انس و جان، ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے. شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان، ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے. آپ کی تھی کیا خطا زہر جو بے دین دیا، آپ کی تھی کیا خطا زہر جو بے دین دیا، اے شہ کون و مکان، اے شہ کون و مکان، ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے. شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان، ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے. شیعوں کا ہے کون اب ہو گیا کیسا شیعوں کا ہے کون اب ہو گیا کیسا غضب کیوں نہ ہو گریہ کناں کیوں نہ ہو گریہ کناں ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے سرور عالی نسب سمجھا نہ وہ بے ادب آپ کو احمد کی جان آپ کو احمد کی جان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے پیٹے نہ کس طرح سے سر مہدی ہے ٹکڑے جگر پیٹے نہ کس طرح سے سر مہدی ہے ٹکڑے جگر پھٹنا پڑا آسمان پھٹنا پڑا آسمان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان ہائے تقی ہائے 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 امام زمان ہائے امام زمان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے شیعوں کا تھا یہ بیان ہائے تقی ہائے ہائے صلوات بر محمد رحم اللہ من کرا سورۃ الفاتحہ
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد Mu'mineen, tonight's Rouhani Majlis announcements. Majlis has been also honored by Brother Ali Abbas Rawji for the Saleh Sawab of Maroom Hassan Ali Bhai Ladamekji, Maroom Amir Ali Bhai Ladamekji, Maruma Leila Bhai Amir Ali Ladamekji, Maruma Razia Bhai Virji, Maruma Fatma Bhai Ahmad Qasim, and Kul Marumins. The next Majlis is by Brother Sajjad Muhammad Ali Ali Bhai Jafar for the Saleh Sawab of Maroom Muhammad Ali Ali Bhai Jafar and Kul Marumins. You humbly requested to recite Surah Fatiha for Kul Marumins Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. أما بعد, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shahadat, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who's Rahman and the one who's Rahim. We have gathered to commemorate the istishhad of that Imam that is known as the Imam of barakah, the Imam of blessings. When Imam al-Jawad salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi was born, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, Imam Rada alayhi salam says to his companion Yahya, he says, هذا المولود الذي لم يولد في الإسلام مثله مولود أعظم بركة على شيعتنا منه. Says that there is none like him that has ever been born in Islam, a newborn who is the greatest blessing upon our Shi'as. And so it is said amongst the awliya of Allah that those that wish for barakah in the dunya, they should do or pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the wasila of Imam al-Jawad. And there are many different points in the life of the Imam that we can discuss. But I've discussed many of them in previous lectures, such as last year's Shahadat or Wiladat that I did. And we talked about those pertinent points about the birth of the Imam, how there were certain unique aspects of the Imamate of the Imam, such as the first time that such a young Zahiran person had become an Imam, and that presented an issue. As well as the fact that it was unique, that with the death of every other Imam, there was a deviancy that was created. But yet, when it comes to the Imamate of Imam al-Jawad, there is no splinter. Because, as I explained in that lecture, and I'm sure you'll all remember that from last year, that was that the khasa, the people of importance, those that were prominent members of the Shia community, stood up and spoke out and stopped those that began to question the imamate of Imam al-Jawad. So having said that, we've discussed all of those points previously, and those that are interested can go back and look at those lectures. So what is it that I want to look at in this lecture? And that is this idea of barakah. That this Imam is being told to us by Imam al-Rada, is being introduced to us by Imam al-Rada as the greatest barakah upon the Shi'as. And this word barakah is thrown around a lot. We've heard it all our lives. But in reality, what is it? What is this barakah? We loosely translate it to blessings within our lives or in different aspects. And so we say barakah is blessings. We have a life full of barakah, time that has barakah, that has blessings in it, friends that are sources of barakah, family being sources of barakah. These are all different ways that we have heard this word barakah. Barakah in one's religious life. But what does that actually mean? What barakah is almost like a value added to something that you're already doing or a place that you already may be in. And it doesn't necessarily mean because I have barakah in something, I have a lot of it. Just because I have, barakah in my money, it doesn't mean that I have a lot of it. Rather, barakah is that the thing that I have, if it has barakah with it, it is of use to not just myself, but all of society. We have barakah in age in our lives. There are some people who live 70, 80 years within this world, and when they die, that's it. At least in terms of legacy. They don't leave anything behind. It's over. Nobody remembers them, except for here and there they may be mentioned. But there's no real value that they left in this world. Shaitan is one of the great examples of this. He's thousands of years old. But what has he gained from this life? Eternal damnation, hell at the end of it. But yet there are other people who live for 50 years. But in those 50 years, they achieve so much that their name, their legacy, and the things that they did live on for centuries after their deaths. So barakah means, when it comes to life, a life that has something about it, that someone has achieved something in their life. Barakah in knowledge. Now there may be an individual that doesn't have the same amount of knowledge as, for example, a marja taqleed, but the little that he has so much barakah within it that he is helping a lot more people. He is going out and he is influencing people. He is guiding people towards the truth. That small amount of knowledge that he has, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed this added value to it. Not to say that the marja's knowledge is not of value, no. The point being that when barakah is within something, its value increases, its use cases increase. If I was to compare to you between, make the comparison between a dog and a sheep, and say to you, which one has more barakah? Which one has more added value? If you look at it from the point of offspring, and especially if it's a rare breed of dog, then a dog can have multiple litters of pups in a year. And so each of those can fetch up to into the thousands, depending on what the breed is. So can we say that the dog has more barakah than the sheep? In this case, because it is able to produce more pups throughout the year, and the value of those pups is great. On the other hand, the sheep is only able to give birth once a year. But yet the Holy Prophet, when talking about it, he says, Al-ghanamu barakah, says the sheep has barakah within it. Why? Because its uses. It's not just the offspring, the wool, the meat, the milk, all of that brings barakah. Leaving aside the point of whether something is najis or tahir, just looking at it between these two animals. So barakah is something that adds value. It's an added value item that is attached to what is already there. Many people have written books throughout history, but many books have been forgotten. They don't get published, they get lost, and that knowledge is gone. But then if you look at something like Mafatih al-Jinan, in every single Shia household in the whole world, you will find this book. Every single Za'ir that goes to Ziyarah has a Sheikh Abbas Qummi with him. And when Sheikh Abbas Qummi, rahmatullah alayhi, was dying, and he was in his last, and he knew that this illness would not allow now after this, he would die. And some people came to him and said, look, we're going to Mashhad for Ziyarah. And he began crying, saying how I wish I could go. And someone that was with him there, they said to him that, what are you worried for? Every single Za'ir that enters into the Haram of Imam al-Rada has a Sheikh Abbas Qummi under his arms. This is barakah. An individual who writes a book, and centuries after his death, it carries on, it spreads throughout the world. When it comes to money, you hear about individuals who have 6-figure salaries, but yet they still complain about how expensive things are, how they can't make ends meet. But on the other hand, you have someone with a more modest salary, and they're able to live comfortably, happily, because of that barakah. And barakah manifests in various ways. You have barakah that is attached to places, attached to times. Even objects are full, certain objects are full of barakah, and we benefit from them. When you look at places, for example, you look at the Holy Quran, Mecca is referred to as Bakkat Mubarakah. That it is Mecca is Mubarak, it is a place of great blessings. The Haram of the A'imma alayhimus salam, all of them, when you look at the narrations, they say, the area where the body of the Imam is, that grave, that whatever 6 foot by however deep it is, that section of land is a place where no sin or no disobedience of Allah has ever been committed. Because not every piece of land has the capacity to hold the wujud of the hujjah within it. It's a very special piece. I'm not talking about the whole haram and the area. I'm talking about the specific grave that the body of the Imam lies in. So certain lands have barakah. Masajid, place of great barakah. And we have a narration from Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. He says, no masjid is ever built upon this earth except that it is built on a place where either a Nabi or a wasi of a Nabi is buried, or that a drop of the blood of one of the martyrs has reached that place. And so that place becomes Mubarak, a place of barakah. And so God allows for a masjid to be built in that place. So at times, places have barakah attached to them. Or objects. The Ark of the Covenant. In the Holy Quran, when talking about it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Tabut fihi sakinatum min rabbikum. This is that chest within which there is tranquility from your Lord. It is something that is mubarak. And then he goes on to talk about it, that this is something that has barakah. And that Ark of the Covenant, what is it? It is the vessel or the basket that carried Musa alayhi salam. And following that, it was taken by Bani Israel, and the Torah was kept inside it. And then they would keep other relics that were attached to Musa alayhi salam within that, and they would carry it into battle for barakah, for blessings in that battle. So barakah can be attached to objects. Imam al-Sadiq is walking around and he has the asa of the Holy Prophet in his hand. Imam al-Husaini in Karbala is coming out and saying, you recognize this imama that is on my head. This is the imama of Rasulullah. These objects have an inherent blessing, a barakah within them. Certain people are mubarak, not just by name, but by their action, the way that they are. In the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Maryam, verse number 30, when it talks about Hazrat Isa and how he's introducing himself to the people of Hazrat Maryam, says, Inni Abdullah Atani al-Kitab, that I am a servant of God, I have been given a book, وَجَعَلْنِي نَبِيًّا, and I have been made a prophet. Verse 31, وَجَعَلْنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ, and I have been made blessed wherever I go, wherever I may be. Certain individuals, their wujud is mubarak, just like Imam al-Jawad, like Imam al-Rada is saying, that this is one of the greatest blessings upon the Shi'as. Certain times are blessed. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. It's a blessed time. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil mubarakah. We revealed this to you in a night that was blessed. The night of Qadr is a night of great blessing. Certain people's time itself that is attached to their lives is filled with barakah. The father of Sheikh al-Saduq, up until the age of 50, had no children. So eventually, growing tired, he asks the third na'ib of Imam al-Hujjah, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Husaini ibn Ruh al-Nawbakhti, that ask Imam al-Zaman to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless me with a son. And so Imam al-Zaman writes back a reply. He says, سَيُولَدُ لَكَ وَلَدٌ مُبَارَكٌ. You will be given a child that is blessed. And what a blessed life Sheikh al-Saduq had. He lived for 60 years. and he wrote over 300 books. One of those books, Man la yahdurhu al-faqih, 1,000 years later is still used by every single marja'. Whenever he wants to give a fatwa, he must refer to that book. That's a life of barakah. That in 60 years he was able to achieve so much. So barakah is this added value. What is the difference between having barakah and not having barakah? The one that has no barakah says, I don't know where time goes. I don't know where my money goes. I don't know where all the things that I have, where they're spent, they just end up going. But the one that has barakah says, I don't know where I'm getting it from. I don't know where I get the time. I don't know where I'm getting this money. I don't know how, but it's happening. So by now you will have already gathered that barakah is a very good thing. And that goes without saying. But the question here is, how is it that we capitalize and gain this barakah in our lives? Because that's the important part. Hearing about it is all great. It makes us feel all warm and fluffy and fuzzy inside. But actually getting hold of it, that's a whole different beast. Now there are roots that we all know. And I'll talk about one, and then we'll talk about one that is slightly more uncommon. One that is very common and that we know about is the root of dua. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow us with barakah. The Holy Prophet of Islam, every single morning when he would wake up, he would do one dua. Allahumma inni as'aluka khayra hadha al-yawm wa nuruhu wa barakatuhu wa huda. Says, oh Allah, bless me, give to me on this day the barakah, the guidance, the light of this day. Bestow it upon me. So asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or the Holy Prophet tells Amir al-Mu'mineen, says, Ya Ali, whenever you're going to travel somewhere, recite the dua of Nuh alayhi salam. When Nuh embarked upon the ark and it was ready to set sail, he calls out, Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse number 29, رَبِّ أَنزِلْنِي مُنزِلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنزِلِينَ. O Allah, cause me, this ship, my people, to disembark upon a blessed disembarking. For you are the one that is the best one to cause one to alight or to disembark. So the first way is to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are a number of other things that are attached to dua and their acceptance. Those we don't have time to go into. But the second one that I want to talk about, slightly uncommon, at least the first part you may think is common, but what I say after that is more uncommon. And that is amalun salih, to do good actions, but not just doing good actions. And here's the uncommon part. To do good actions as soon as they present themselves. Don't wait. Don't think. Do what needs to be done there and then. When you have the opportunity to do something good, don't think about it. Because when it comes to you and you capitalize on it, you will excel towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extremely quickly. This journey that may take years and years, you will be able to complete it in minutes. There are opportunities that are given. They're known as these divine, the urafa, the awliya of Allah. They speak about them as being the divine breath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that blows towards you. This is an opportunity. Don't turn away from it. This is why many of the teachers of akhlaq, they say whenever a beggar comes to you and someone asks you for something, don't think, even if it's a small amount, if in the back of your mind, you think, I don't know, this person is not going to use this money for the right thing. They'll probably go down and buy drugs or whatever it may be. You know, we have 101 thoughts when someone comes up to us and says, look, can I have 20p or 50p, you know, when you're near the shops. It says, just give it straight away. Whatever small amount it is, just give it. Because we have narrations that say at times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down the angels in the form of beggars towards you to try an individual. And so you don't know whether this person in front of you is going to use it correctly, or it may be an angel or a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So however much it is, small amount, but never turn anyone away. Because you don't know when that opportunity will open for you and you will excel. Look at the woman of ill repute from the time of Musa alayhi salam. This lady was commonly known as an adulteress amongst Bani Israel. She had no reputation. One day, as she's walking, she sees a dog lying there, thirsty. And there's a well nearby. So she goes to the well to get it water and realizes there's no pail, no bucket, and no rope. So instead she takes whatever long garment, a scarf, or whatever that she has, and she lowers it into the well. She soaks it with water, pulls it back out, and puts droplets of water in the mouth of the dog. Does it until the dog is fully satiated. Musa alayhi salam at the same time is in conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Musa, you know that adulteress? Musa alayhi salam says, yes, Ya Allah. Says, Musa, I want you to go to her and tell her that I have forgiven all of her sins. A lifetime of deviancy, a lifetime of degradation. And just one moment of mercy upon something that we consider or which we look down upon, a najis animal. But yet her mercy towards it allowed for all her sins to be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyid Muhammad Shafti is one of the ulama of Isfahan. And he was by far one of the richest alims that has passed in the Qajari dynasty. He had so much money that whenever any of the kings or the emissaries of the Qajar dynasty would want to enter into Isfahan, they would first have to come to Sayyid Shafti's people, ask for permission, because the people of Isfahan were so much in love with him that they wouldn't let anyone enter unless he had given the okay. To the extent that even the kings would need his permission. And he had so much wealth that he would not even look at how much he was giving. He would just put a handful into put his hand into a bowl of gold coins and take a handful out and just give it to people by the handful. But yet this same Sayyid Muhammad Shafti, at the start of his life, when he was studying in Najaf, was destitute. He didn't have food to eat. What is it that switched his life around? That when he left this world, in the last decade or so of his life, he became the richest man. It says when he was destitute, he had nothing in Najaf. It says, I began to save small amounts of money from the stipend that I was getting, with the aim that one day I'll buy a little bit of meat so I can eat it. So he says, for months I saved. Small amounts. 3-4 months passed, and he realized that he had enough to go and buy himself a small piece of meat. So he took that money, he went to the butcher's, and he brought himself a small amount of meat. As he's walking back from the butcher's to go and cook this meat that he has been dreaming about for 4 or 5 months now, he sees a dog lying on the ground. And around her are her pups. And she's unable to lift herself from the ground, weak. And they're trying to drink milk from her, but she's become so weak that she can't produce milk for her pups. Seeing this, Sayyid Shafti doesn't even think. He takes the meat, he throws it to her. The dog eats it. She looks towards him in a sign of thanks, and he carries on. He says, from that moment, says, my life changed. It is about doing the right thing at the moment that it presents itself. Amalun salih. And this applies to your worship as well. The amount of emphasis that is put upon reciting your salah on time, on time, on time. Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai Rahmatullah alayhi would say that if any individual is regular with praying his salah on time and he does it for 40 days and he does not achieve maqams, stations in spirituality, then he can come and spit on the face of Qadi. It's about doing what is right at the right time. As soon as that opportunity presents itself, don't think, don't ponder. You know it's a good action. Someone has come to you for help. It doesn't have to be financial help. It can be advice. It can be anything. Don't think. Help the person. If you can, if you have that capacity, then help the person straight away. Because what will happen is that action of yours of helping straight away, the opportunity to do good. You have an opportunity to, I don't know, hold the door open for someone or help someone carry something. Don't look around to see, well, should I not? No, go towards that opportunity. When someone gives you a chance to, for example, recite, I was going to say, well, Muqisa was here as well. You know, when he looks around for someone to recite adhan or ziyarah and he points to you, and you know you can do it, but you're like, try and find someone else. Not me, him. That, the opportunity that you have been given, embrace it straight away. Because who knows, that one action of yours with the purity of intention could be the difference that you needed to be able to ascend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a difference on chasing something, and there's a fine line of I like the sound of my own voice and I think I'm really good, to actually taking an opportunity that is presented. And every person has to make that assessment themselves of their own lives. So one of the ways, and there are many other ways of attracting this divine barakah, this divine blessing within our lives. But one of the ways is this, that doing amalun salih as soon as you get the opportunity. Don't wait. Don't delay it. Grab hold of that opportunity and do it straight away. But at the same time, we sometimes shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to attracting the divine barakah. And that is, we do certain things that remove the barakah from our lives. And when you look at the narrations, there are 4 specific things that remove barakah from the life of a person. The first is betrayal. When you betray someone, when you betray their trust, whatever it is, in whichever way, they've told you a secret and asked you not to tell anyone, and you go and tell someone. Betrayal will remove barakah from your life. Embezzlement, when you defraud someone, it will remove the barakah in every aspect of your life. It's not just out of your wealth, out of the life and all of the other things that we've spoken about. You can go to places of barakah, but yet not take anything, not gather anything from the energy of that place because of the sins that you've committed. So the second thing, embezzlement. The third thing that removes barakah from an individual's life is alcohol. The consumption of alcohol. It removes barakah from the life of a person. And the fourth thing is zina, adultery. That removes barakah from the life of an individual. These are very simple ways that we can take and implement in our lives to try and attract that divine barakah. And when we begin to become a receptacle of that barakah, and we begin to increase our own capacity to receive more and more of that divine barakah, because it's all based upon capacity. Sometimes I don't have the capacity for what I'm asking for. But through doing these actions, these amalun salih at the right time, it expands my capacity to be able to receive more and more of that divine barakah. And one of those Mubarak individuals was the wujood of Imam al-Jawad. That Imam al-Rada says that there is no greater barakah upon our Shi'as than this son of mine. And it's an opportunity that in the days of the Shahadat, the day and the night of the Shahadat of the Imam, that one turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the wasila of the Imam to ask for barakah in this dunya, in their life, in their whatever it may be, in their wealth, in the effectiveness of their words, the effectiveness of their life itself. Because Imam al-Jawad, Jawadul A'imma. I've said to you before that the names of the Imams alayhimus salam, they're not random. These names are names that have been given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is something that will allow you to connect to a particular sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through that Imam. To unlock that capacity within yourself. This is Jawadul A'imma, the generous one from the Imams. You ask Allah through him, or you ask him, and he will bestow you so much beyond your own understanding, beyond your own whatever you could fathom. And this Imam, that was Jawadul A'imma, at the age of 25, the jealousy of the Ummah got too much, and they poisoned the Imam. Facing dhulm from one's enemy is something that one expects. And yes, there is pain associated to it, especially when the person has such a pure character. But facing dhulm at the hands of your own loved ones, this holds a whole different sort of pain. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam was poisoned by his wife, al-Fadl. And such a strong poison that it took effect straight away. The Imam began writhing in pain. The first effect of this poison was to attack the liver. The second effect of this poison was extreme thirst took over the Imam. And so the Imam began calling out. Who does the Imam turn to at this point? The woman within his own home is the one that has poisoned him. The Imam doesn't have anyone to turn to. He's calling, asking for water, asking for water. And what does this cursed woman do? She shuts the doors to the room of the Imam, leaving the Imam upon the ground. And then she gathers women outside of the door of the Imam and orders them to begin singing and clapping so that no one can hear the cries of the Imam from inside the room. The Imam died thirsty and alone inside that room. But then eventually the news reached the Shias. They came one by one. They took the body of the Imam. Imam al-Hadi came, ghusl kafan. He read Salat al-Mayyit over his father. They carried the body of Imam al-Jawad through the streets. The people came out and they mourned. They threw flowers on the body of Imam al-Jawad. They laid him to rest with respect and with honor. But my salam be upon the Gharib of Karbala, that Imam al-Hadi was laid to rest with peace, with honor. But that Imam in Karbala, that when he falls from his horse, your Imam says in Ziyarat Nahiya, Hawayta ila al-ardi jarihan tata'uka al-khuyulu bihawafiriha. Salams be upon that Imam who fell from his horse injured and was trampled under the hooves of the horses. That Imam whose body was mutilated so badly that when his sister came eventually to his body, the first thing she said to him, Ha anta akhi, are you my Hussein? Ala la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أيهم قلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين يا حسين.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, sab padho, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے، شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے، شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے. سب پڑھو ماشاءاللہ. شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے، شبیر کا پیغام بیان. ہم حق کو زمانے پہ، ہم حق کو زمانے پہ عیاں کرتے رہیں گے، ہاں کرتے رہیں گے. شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے، شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے. ماشاء بلند آواز سے. شبیر کا پیغام بیان کر. شبیر کے ماتم کی صدا آتی رہے گی، عباس کے پرچم کی ہوا آتی رہے گی. یوں دشمن حیدر کو، یوں دشمن حیدر کو دعا کرتے رہیں گے، ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کر ماشاءاللہ ہے شبیر کا پیغام بیان گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان یہ رسم وفاداری یوں ہی جاری رہے گی جب تک ہے جہاں شہ کی عزاداری رہے گی خنجر دل باطل پہ خنجر دل باطل پہ رواں کرتے رہیں گے ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام رہیں گے ہائے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے پیاسے علی اصغر کی صدا یاد رہے گی قاسم کی محبت یوں ہی آباد رہے گی اکبر میرے جذبے کو اکبر میرے جذبے کو جوان کرتے رہیں گے ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے ہائے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے آنکھوں سے یہ دریائے عذاب بہتا رہے گا کٹ جائے اگر سر بھی تو خون کہتا رہے گا یہ ذکر سر نو کے یہ ذکر سر نو کے سنا کرتے رہیں گے ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے ہائے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں ماشاءاللہ بلند آواز سے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے دامن نہیں چھوڑیں گے کبھی شاہ خدا کا جنت میں بھی ہم فرش بچھائیں گے عزا کا جو کام یہاں پر ہے جو کام یہاں پر ہے وہاں کرتے رہیں گے ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے ہائے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے سورج کو بھی خیرات ضیا بانٹ رہے ہیں سینے پہ حسن داغ جو ماتم کے سجے ہیں روشن میری تربت کا روشن میری تربت کا نشان کرتے رہیں گے ہاں کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے شبیر کا پیغام بیان کرتے رہیں گے یا حسین یا حسین
میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر لاش اکبر پیشہ جب پہنچے دل کو ہاتھوں سے تھام کر بولے تیری فرقت نے علی اکبر آگ دل میں میرے لگا دی ہے آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر دیکھ آیا ہے قاصد صغرا راہ تکتی ہے وہ دکھی بہنا تجھ کو بیمار نے بلایا ہے وعدہ دکھیا کا کیوں بلا ڈالا غم یہ دل سے لگاؤں میں کیسے غم یہ دل سے لگاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر بھائی بہنوں کا ہے عجب رشتہ جس کا ثانی کہیں نہیں ملتا رو کے دکھیا نے یہ لکھا اکبر ایک دکھیا علاج رکھ لینا مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے مر گیا تو بتاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر لطف جینے میں اب کہاں اکبر دل سے اٹھتی ہے یہ فغاں اکبر صبح عاشور دی تھی جو تو نے پھول لائے کہ وہ اذاں اکبر تیری صورت بلاؤں میں کیسے تیری صورت بلاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
محمد وعلى محمد صلوات. Mu'mineen, please be kind enough to face this way. Our Mullah Sahib would like to address us. Let's welcome him with a loud Nari Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am taking this opportunity because the sisters will also be, inshallah, listening to this. Jazakumullah to Sheikh Nabil for very excellent presentation regarding what is barakah. And one of the points that he mentioned about barakah is that there is also time where there is barakah. And by the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal, tomorrow night will be the first night of the month of Dhul Hijjah. And the first 10 nights and the first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah are full of blessings. So one of the highly recommended acts during the first 10 nights of the month of Dhul Hijjah are between the Maghrib and Isha Salat to recite 2 rakat namaz, in which after Surah Al-Hamd and Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Tawheed, we recite that verse from Surah Al-A'raf, وَوَعَدْنَا مُوسَى 30 لَيْلَةً. You can refer to the books or go to www.duaz.org. You can refer that. But inshallah, we will be holding that salat every day, inshallah, from tomorrow night for the first 10 nights of the month of Dhul Hijjah. Make use of that opportunity, for one of the reward is a person who is unable to go for Hajj. If he recites this namaz the first 10 nights of the month of Dhul Hijjah between Maghrib and Isha, will get the thawab of having performed the Hajj. Recite salawat, please. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Can I request you to stand up for ziyarah, please? السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. السلام عليك يا سيدتي ويا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأحد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على أئمة الهدى من ذرية الحسين، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، وجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك وشيعتك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقارئا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا أرحم الراحمين.